Okay, sorry. I don't want Pringles on percussion.
24 years. How's it feel to have this song out in the world after 24 years?
It's quite surreal, really, because, like, for me, it's a very private song. It's one I've shared with a handful of people, yourself included. You were the first to hear it outside of me putting it together in my bedroom at Mum and Dad's house, and so it was kind of like it was a private song that's now gone public, and there's part of me it's loves that it's out there. It's just it's a really special song in my life, and so I'm thrilled that other people can hear it. But also, it kind of feels like, I don't know, I kind of liked it when it was just
for you.
Yeah,
I do understand that. I'm
chuffed it's out there. So
I'm really excited that everyone's hearing it, because as someone who heard it then, it's one of those songs where I forget that we didn't put it out, because it's been there for me. It's been as part of the catalog of songs that we worked on and shared back and forth for so many years. And obviously all the stuff we were writing back then with Absent, you wrote a lot of the songs back then. I kind of forget that it wasn't on an Absent album. It wasn't because it's as important a song in my mind, or it's up there equal with all the songs that we did actually put out into the world. I listened to it personally just as much. As obviously we did record a version of it, which was the first and only recording of it for a very, very long time, which was a phenomenal version where you're obviously playing and singing it to me.
Sugar-coated melancholy, sickly sweet, it cannot harm me. Make myself a private army. Shoot my words, no need reminding. The bitter taste is now subsiding. I am less, for I am pining. Point it all out for me. This beauty that I see, but I can't restrain the fall from breaking out of me.
We camped out on the embankment and set up some recording equipment, which I remember you were saying was inspired by what Doves had done.
So I wrote it in 2001, so it was 3 years later. So actually 21 years ago to this month, April 2004, and there was Dove's second album, The Last Broadcast, which came out a couple of years before that, and that quickly became one of my all-time favourite albums. It's still up there in my top 10. It's just a euphoric and heartbreaking record in equal measure. But there's a particular song on it, and the story of the recording of that song. So it's called M62 Song, track 4 on The Last Broadcast. And the story of it is that they actually went and camped under they pitched up under a sort of a flyover on the M62 and recorded the guitar and vocals for that one night, and you can hear it's quite scratchy, but it's a gorgeous melody and song, and just that field recording sort of vibe, and then they sort of layered some studio magic over the top of it as well, which just really sort of elevated it. But I just liked the fact that they just went and sort of pitched up somewhere late at night, just captured the vibe of the cars driving by, sounds of nature, and I felt like I had this song, that was a song that I wanted to sort of capture the similar sort of...
Yeah, and we did actually capture quite a lot. There's a really nice moment on that original demo where it fades out, and because where we were on the embankment is not far from the one of the main rail routes in and out of the city, and I remember you can hear the train in the background just as the last chord fades out on that demo. And I was very tempted to try and take it from that demo and add it to this, but I kind of had this feeling that it was going to kind of just sound a bit forced.
Like I said before, just I can remember sort of playing it, sitting there playing it, and I looked up and you were in tears. And
Yeah, it really got to me. I mean,
I was taken aback. I knew the song meant so much to me, and the fact that it sort of you had inspired that reaction just validated.
I think it was. Yeah, it was. I mean, 2004. I still talk about as one of the absolute worst years of my life, and I won't get into all the nitty gritty of all the things that went down for me that year. But I think that the line, to wallow is to quit a life I can build upon, was just really it was like a gut wrenching, like. Almost like what I needed to hear in that moment because I wasn't exactly I know you're very much aware that I haven't always felt like I wanted to be on this planet for at times, and I've suffered with depression. I needed to hear that in that moment, I think, more than I realised, and I think that's where the tears really came from. Obviously, it's a moving melody, and I absolutely love it.
Was it the setting as well as the song?
I mean, we were just isolated. There was no one else around. It was just the music and the atmosphere, and I think it was almost quite cathartic. It was, and it certainly helped me, and I think that's why I said that version of that song ended up being quite important to me, and has helped me in those moments, even to sometimes just to think of it. That was actually quite important, and it has helped me through the years. So that's why that song meant so much to me, and I listened to it so much that like I said, I was surprised that if I forget that not other people hadn't heard the song.
Yeah. Phil, with that song, so that line you picked out in particular, I did write that to sort of motivate myself, because I think during 2001, so I was like 18, 19 when I wrote it, and it was just pre me becoming a confident person. Like, I really changed at the age of 20, but prior to that I had quite a lot of sort of low self-esteem, and I won't say depression, but I was struggling with my confidence and esteem at the time, and that I was doing a lot of wallowing, but at the same time I was able to bring myself out of it, but I would quite indulge in wallowing. So that line was kind of like a mantra to me, to and
I totally
the
understand
opportunities we had at the time with what the band were doing and the social opportunities and that, it was me telling myself that stop wallowing, you've got all these great opportunities here, make something of it.
Yeah, and I think that's what I also took from it. I mean, I was wallowing in a different way. It's not like I was cured in that moment.
No.
But I do have a tendency to focus on melancholy. It's something that and I know you've touched on this before.
I'd definitely like to talk about melancholy, what it means to me.
Yeah, and I find it. I'm drawn to it. I'm drawn to it in music, in art of all kinds. I'm drawn to that sadness and to people expressing sadness. But I think it's because I had so much of it in me that it was like it's always like other people are sad too. And it sounds obvious, but you see everyone with such joy. And at the time, I remember, you don't see that everyone struggles, and we obviously, I think, as a society, are better at talking about these things than we were then. But I would see everyone just, so full of life and joy, and I just felt so alone in this deep, dark place. I didn't really feel like I belonged places. I didn't feel like I could have that joy that I saw in everyone else. I now realise that joy was people masking but I realise as well that that's probably how other people saw me.
Having their own private battles.
Yeah, and that's how other people saw me.
Everyone's putting a front on to show you, look, I'm having fun. I'm making you laugh.
Exactly. I'm clowning around, or for me, I was dancing, and I was the life and the soul of a party. I became a DJ, and I was standing, smiling, and playing music out to people. But I was broken inside, and it became this split thing. So dealing with that depression or not dealing with it as I was then. That I think that line just kind of was almost like a keep going, buddy. That's what it felt like. And I know you weren't singing it about me, but in that moment in time, you may as well have been.
Yeah.
And that really really struck me.
Yeah. That's, you know, the fact that it, you know, it encouraged you in a positive way. It just goes to show the power of a melody in a, you know, a lyric. It's so yeah. But so we were talking. So melancholy to me, I see it. I read somewhere. I don't know if it was Nicky Wire from the Monastery Preachers, but I read somewhere I think it was Nicky that described it as a beautiful sadness, and that's how I view it. I don't see it as depression or wallowing, ironically enough.
Yeah.
It's mentioned in the song, but melancholy for me is just enjoying being sad.
Yeah, and that's definitely where I was.
It's almost
with
blissful, like whether you're just walking amongst you doing a riverside walk, or you're out in the middle of nowhere, no one's around you, and you're just soaking up the atmosphere, and you might have something weighing on your mind, but at the same time you feel really free at the same time.
Yeah, no, and I totally understand that feeling, as that's what I would do quite a lot, and I would seek out things that made me sad. So you know, the music I listened to was, well, I wanted music that would make me feel sad, because I think, or allow me to express that sadness, even if, you know, it's alone, but to cry, I guess, to process these emotions and stop suppressing them, because that's what I was doing all the time, was just pushing them into a box and putting them into a corner. But I would then enjoy the ability to sometimes open that box and let these things out, and I guess, in the same way that, you know, people say that pain and pleasure are you know, the same centers of your brain, I do think that extreme joy and extreme sadness are probably have a similar relationship. They do, at least for me. Like, you know, if I'm extremely sad, and then extremely happy, those feel very similar to me in my own brain. And I only knew how to seek one for a long time. I only knew how to find the sadness, and that's what I think I've later come to find more joy. Was there any other? Obviously, you mentioned the Doves for the way we went to record it, but were there any other bands that influenced Sugar-coated in a more direct way?
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to write a bare confessional song in the style of John Lennon. So when he did his first solo album after the Beatles split, so the Plastic Ono Band album, that was his sort of, he'd done Primal Scream Therapy, and that was the album he wrote. So it was just very direct, sort of writing about his mother, writing about the end of the Beatles and everything else. It's the album with Working Class Hero on and stuff like that. And I wanted to write a sort of a song like, I suppose Sugar-coated Melancholy is it's definitely more abstract than direct, but the vibe I had, there's a song called Love on that album that just how sort of bittersweet it is, just kind of influenced me. And also going back to another older artist, so Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska album, so just the vibe of that as well, and just the bare acoustics, and just no need for anything else, just a guitar and a voice, and just expressing themselves.
I think it's a testament to the song that we've managed to keep it so simple, because it would be very easy to be carried away adding strings or and I think the song was,
guitar
there's a whole bunch of things that would work wonderfully, but I think where we had listened to that lived with that simple demo, one guitar at the time, one voice, it was just you singing on the demo. I know that I was what I kind of wanted to capture for the demo. I know that we did the live version first, which I know we're going to put out into the world for people to see. And that was going to be the single release, but I remember not being quite so happy with it and wanted to just actually get a studio version, which we kind of cobbled together in a bit of a hurry, actually. But I think it's all right, considering I think it was done in, or we recorded it all in one night and mixed it within a few days. So.
Sugar-coated melancholy, sickly sweet, it cannot harm me. Built myself a